welcome back to SV Ramble On. So this weekend, not a very fun project that we're going to be working on, our waste pump. We have a Lavac toilet that we installed when we, one of the first things we did,
when we moved aboard.
Which we really like. It works great. It comes with a Whale Mark V pump.
Sure.
The original pump that it came with worked fine for a while, and then one day it didn't. And we couldn't get a rebuild kit for it right away, and we needed it, so we ended up getting a second pump. And then we ordered a rebuild kit. Well, now that second pump has a slight leak to it. So today what we're going to do is we're going to get the old pump that originally was with the Lavac that came with it. We're going to rebuild that because we never did. We're going to rebuild it with the new rebuild kit for the Mark V pump, and then take the old pump out and clean that and have that as a spare. We'll get another rebuild kit for that and have that sitting on the shelf ready to go if we ever need it. This is not something we've been looking forward to, but it's something we really need to do. And while we're at it, we'll just give you a brief overview of what we have installed for our system. Our boat does have a holding tank, but we stopped using it. It's pretty small. It's all the way at the back of the boat, so the run is really long, and you really have to pump a lot of water, and it's like 15 gallons. It fills up really fast.
We have a Y valve underneath, so we can go from holding tank to whatchamacallit.
That's what's nice about the Lavac toilet is you just close the lid and you just pump. There's nothing else to it. It's got two gaskets. The seat has a gasket, and then the lid has a gasket. So when you shut it and you start pumping, it draws suction.
Seawater from the outside through a through-hole fitting, and that's
seawater. Because we're in fresh water.
We have a tank. We fill it up with rock salt, like water softener rock salt. And there's a float valve that lets water into it, so it creates a brine solution. That brine solution is pumped on the vacuum side of the pump. Under high electric current, the sodium molecule is separated from the chlorine molecule in sodium chloride. And that chlorine hypertreats the sewage before it's pumped overboard. And it's a two-stage cycle, so you pump it into the Electroscan, and then on the second flush, it's electrocuted again, and then it pumps overboard.
And macerated. It's got a macerator.
Oh, it's got a mixer and a macerator. It chews everything up really good.
And then it discharges directly overboard, and it's treated at that point. So the other thing we're going to do, that we have to do, about every 6 months with the Electroscan, is you have to do what's called an acid treatment. So we take, I don't even know what percentage it is, muriatic acid, pool acid, is it 12% or something? I don't know.
Something like that.
So anyway, it's pool acid basically. You take that and you pump it through the toilet into the Electroscan, and you let it sit for 45 minutes.
Plates.
Yeah, there's like an electric plate in there, and it gets all gunked and grimy with everything that you're pumping in there. So basically the acid metal and acid obviously are not compatible. So it will take the scale and whatever's on the metal plate so that it can continue to function properly. So we're going to do that today too.
And we'll show you the system.
And everyone's dying to see our toilet
system. Here's the toilet.
Oh.
This is the pump. So I pumped the bowl dry. So I've got to take this off.
Let me look at the pump.
Oh crap! I'm gonna need a pressure wrench. Here, give it to me. Okay, there's the pump and the hoses.
It's leaking from underneath.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty gross.
All right. We've got enough filming of this.
The thing I like about whale pumps is they're really easy to rebuild. We put one like this. I think actually this diaphragm kit may work in our...
I think so too. I think we did that on purpose.
I think we did it on purpose. We got the same size pump for our bilge.
Well, I think we were also thinking about putting in a manual pump for the holding tank, weren't we?
Mm-hmm. I'm probably still going to do that because...
Yeah. So it'll be the same Mark V.
Yeah,
and then we'll install it in the lazarette, so if we ever need to just pump directly from the tank, we can.
Yeah, right now we have to be pumped out by a vacuum device, but I'd like to be able to pitch it overboard if I need to. So here's the inside, and they look pretty scrubby. So this is the inlet side. There's a little flap valve, and...
How's the diaphragm look? I mean, what was broken?
think it was just the valves, the inlet and outlet valves were what wasn't doing the sealing, because I don't think the diaphragm is in really bad shape, except for some cracking around the edges, around the screw holes, but it still looks, I mean, if you look at it looks like the gasket's still making a good seal, so I don't think it was leaking from there. I think it was these. So this is the little thing that holds the check.
Does it look like it's weak or broken?
It doesn't look great right around there.
Okay.
It comes, all this stuff comes new. Yeah, so here's what happens with this. Is you get crud and scale gets all built up around here, and then it ceases to close. Like, this is the outlet end, so this opens and lets whatever you're flushing go through. And then on the suction pull, this sucks closed and this flap opens.
Can you tell it's not sucking closed?
Well, yeah, let me...
No. What's wrong with you?
This is the dry side of the pump.
I was going to say, why does it look like...
But you can see that
it leaked.
It leaked. It leaked inside the dry side. So there was...
interesting to see the other pump.
There was a loss of vacuum. I don't even know if I want to open that filthy thing up. 14.5% hydrogen chloride.
HCl.
Yes, HCl.
I wonder what the pH is.
4.
No, it's got to be lower than that.
3.5.
It's probably...
It's probably on here. No, it doesn't say. You think it's lower than 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
The acid we're using, I mean, it's a strong acid. It's pool acid. You can just get it over the counter. It's not like anything special, but...
It'll burn you.
Yeah, so you want to be careful. He used gloves when he was dealing with it. Probably should have had safety glasses on, but they were down at the shed, so we didn't have them.
I have safety glasses on the boat, but I'm just careful. Don't be sloppy and splash it all around, and you won't have a problem. It's starting to react.
How are we going to neutralize this?
I got a big old bag of baking soda in the...
Okay, you just got to be careful with that because it'll really foam and fizz.
Yeah, this is 1 cup right here. So that's
8 ounces.
8 ounces.
You brought some pH strips.
Why didn't you?
I forgot. I had them in my bag.
All right, so now I'm going to take this poopy acid solution. I'm going to neutralize it.
Told ya.
Yeah.
Like, it's a weak acid.
Yeah, buddy. I think it's going to go.
Okay, so we think that the acid and now the base have neutralized, and that anything that was residual in the pump has been killed by the acid.
Yeah, and then we'll just take it up and dump it in the dirt, or I can take it up to this thing and dump it in the sewer. It'll go in the septic tank or something.
Okay.
So everything's really clean, and now I'm just kind of rinsing them in hot water, and I'll add a little bit more baking soda to these as well, just to kind of make sure there's no residual acid left in the water. Now we do the opposite of what we did when we took it apart. Start with the easy stuff. This goes on this, and I'm going to pop a little silicone grease on it. I could always go out and dig the old one out of the trash.
Just the instructions don't show it?
They do. I just didn't want our YouTube viewers to see me looking at the instructions.
Seriously?
No. Yeah, it goes towards the...
I could totally see that being a thing.
The raised rim goes towards the pump side. Yeah. I guess I could always get 2 wrenches, but I'm too lazy to go down in the lazarette and dig around. That's good.
It just slides in.
Yeah. So I noticed the screws that I took out were different, and I changed them at some point during the last time we rebuilt this pump. And these things barely penetrate the housing. The flat nose screws, the flat tips barely penetrate the housing. And I put these in, and it actually pokes through the little button here on the back. And this is just on the joker valve side. They're poking up, but they're not penetrating, and it's drawing the thing in much tighter. I'm going to change out the bottom 2 screws also. Those are the flat ones that came with the kit. This is another C-clip, or E-clip. That's why they always give you a new set with the kit, with the rebuild kit. Why? Because they always go flying off and land in the water. Because of our hose arrangement, we have this thing is offset from vertical. Fresh, new, clean, rebuilt pump. Okay, make sure the exit's going the right way. So I'm going to do a test flush on it, make sure the pump is working and sealing and all that good stuff. We already filled up the bowl with some salt water. It's a salt water mixture just to run it through the system and clear it out so that we can do the acid treatment. But we're going to hit you with a couple of different projects all at the same time right now. Just a brief description, here's the gasketed lid and toilet seat. And this draws water from a through hole under the V-berth on the starboard side, or no, port side. And it goes up, there's a big vented loop, actually it goes through here, up this way, into here. There's a T in here, a T fitting in here, which is important later on. Can you see it?
Up there?
This little guy. This is the salt metering valve that allows salt water to be dragged into the flush line, which provides the sodium chloride necessary for the treatment system. So I gotta build up a vacuum. It's already starting to suck. It's drawing a good prime.
It's not leaking.
So now the lid, the toilet seat and the lid are just clamped down really tight. So that's how it pulls out of the bowl through the pump. Then this goes down into underneath the settee, and that is where the Electroscan unit is. This hits go. This is the start-stop switch for the Electroscan unit. Pump it about 20 times. We did a measurement with a bucket and how many pumps it took to pull a quantity of water to get to the Electroscan unit for treatment. And what was it? It was only like, it's about a 10 or 12 foot run, so it's a little over a gallon or two, I think, a gallon and a half, something like that.
I think it was like 30.
So right now, here's the treatment system. The treatment cycle is running, it's alternating between 14 and 13.9 amps. It needs a minimum of 14 amps. If it's lower than that, it'll run an extra long treatment cycle. So we're getting good salt. This tells us basically that there's enough salt in there to separate the chlorine and the sodium molecules. So this thing's good. This is a status. If this thing happens to be lower than 14 amps, or actually lower than 13.5 amps, it will blink a red light and have a system failure. So.
And how much power does it take?
Right. It starts up at about, I think startup is about 47 DC amps on an initial motor load, and then once it starts tapering off and gets about 30 seconds into the cycle, it drops down to about 35 DC amps. The whole cycle only lasts a total of 3 minutes, so it's not, it's not super great. It's a high load for a very short period of time. So here's the Electroscan unit. This is the macerator pump. This is the mixer pump. It goes through a baffled chamber here, and there's an electrical plate that runs between there where all the high amperage goes through. Then it gets pumped through here. Oh wait, no.
Yeah, that's over.
Yeah, the inlet is down here on the bottom where this fitting is.
Yep. The
outlet is right here. It runs up and goes through a through-hole fitting and a vented loop. Raritan used to sell something like this for a couple of $100, and I took a square cat litter bucket because that's what fit, and I made a little fresh water inlet and an outlet and a drain. So what it does is it puts a metered amount of water in, and then it uses like a little cattle trough float that shuts off the water supply. So I turn off the water valve here that feeds water into it.
Draining the water from the tank so we can add more salt. We only do this what is it now?
Once every 2 weeks. So when our Electroscan starts to error as low amps, it means it's low on salt. So it goes about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Costs like $5. It lasts like a month or two, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, a bag, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the bucket holds about 4 of these little 1-gallon buckets worth of salt. We dump it in there.
Then we pour the salty water back in after we fill it with salt.
Okay, we're filling the bucket back up now. So
Ta-da!
that's what we do every 2 weeks for adding salt to our saltwater system for our Electroscan. So we're going to acid treat the Electroscan unit right now, and you put in 1.5 pints per gallon.
3 gallons.
For 3 gallons. So we do this every 6 months. You got to acid treat the Electroscan unit. You flush that through the system with no electrical charge. You turn off the breaker and disconnect all the wires so that you don't burn up the unit. When you have acid in there, it will kill it dead.
Marine sanitation.
There we go. Bottom one. That's a 50 amp breaker, by the way, because it pulls so much. And the cable is number 4 or number 6. I think it's number 4.
45 minutes? Do you want me to pause?
It's been 45 minutes now, so I'm just going to put some clean water down the toilet.
Just plain water.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to do a minimum of 10 gallons.
Yeah, just to be safe.
So that's a wrap on the Electroscan treatment once every 6 months. And also we changed out the pump on our toilet, which was actually a lot less gross than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it went pretty smooth. Didn't spill a lot of liquid.
Plus, well, we haven't actually cleaned the pump out either, though. Like, it's still,
Yeah.
it's in a bucket.
So,
So thanks for watching, and subscribe if you haven't already.
tell a friend if you like it.
Yeah, and give it a like, because that always gets more views, the more likes you get. And if you guys have any comments or questions, just down below, and we're pretty good at responding. You can check out Instagram and Facebook and our website. So
Oh, by the way, it's svrambleon.com, by the way.
that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We can put outtakes and bloopers after this.
Of what? Everything was perfect.
All right.
That's it. That's how we do what we did.
What do you do?
I just don't want to smell it.
Well, you're gonna. Well,
How come it doesn't smell?
because our shit don't stink.
You want to say that to camera?
You're recording. Bubbles are popping and splattering.
Raritan and the